The $500,000 handshake. Why your safe 1% fee is a silent killer. The financial market right now is acting like a polite pickpocket who offers to tie your shoelaces while sliding your wallet out of your back pocket. You don't feel the sting because he's smiling, he's wearing a crisp suit, and he's calling it a standard service fee. Jesse Livermore once said, "The stock market is never obvious. It is designed to fool most of the people most of the time. The biggest fool isn't the guy buying meme coins at 3 a.m. It's the person who thinks a 1% advisor fee is a rounding error. That 1% isn't just a penny. It's a $500,000 ghost that is going to haunt your retirement and erase a decade of your freedom." The history. The great risk transfer. To understand why you're paying this fee, we have to look at the squale to the 2008 betrayal. For the last 70 years, financial risk has been quietly moving in one direction, away from governments and employers and directly onto your shoulders. It's called the Great Risk Transfer. In 1952, the deal was simple. Show up, stay loyal, and the system, with its guaranteed pensions, would take care of you. Then, the pension quietly died. In its place, companies rolled out a shiny new product, the 401k. It was marketed as
freedom, but it was actually the first mass transfer of retirement risk onto people who weren't financial professionals. Suddenly, the money printer go brr era began, and you were left to navigate market volatility alone. Because you were scared, the industry stepped in with a helping hand and an invisible 1% tax. Meet Tyler and the $500,000 villain. Let's look at the villain of this story through actual math, not emotional math. Meet Tyler. He's 34 and he has a $200,000 portfolio. Tyler's advisor charges 1%. It feels like nothing. If that money grows at 8% per year over 30 years without that fee, Tyler's portfolio lands at roughly $2 million. But with that 1% fee, his return is effectively 7%. At 7%, Tyler ends up with about $1.5 million. That 1% handshake didn't cost Tyler 1% of his money. It cost him $500,000 of his future wealth. Tyler is paying 1% every single year on a growing balance. The fee compounds against him with the exact same force that returns compound for him. It is a silent, invisible drag that never appears on a single statement. The present day, the active management lie. Tyler thinks he's paying for expertise and market timing.
But the data is overwhelming. Over a 15-year period, roughly 90% of professional fund managers fail to beat a basic S&P 500 index fund. These are people with PhDs and billion-dollar budgets, and they still lose to a boring index that does nothing. You are essentially hiring a personal chef who burns your dinner and charges you double for the privilege. Meanwhile, a low-cost index fund charges as little as 0.04% annually. That is $80 a year versus $2,000 or more for the handshake. The industry profits by making you think investing has to be complicated. The psychological tax, your brain on fees. It's not just about the money, it's about your cognitive bandwidth. Research shows that carrying debt and financial stress, like seeing your safe plan not growing, literally impairs your brain. When your expense floor is high because of fees and obligations, your brain stays in a state of defensive pessimism. You start filtering every major life decision through one question: can I still cover the payments if this goes wrong? The 1% fee is a laziness tax on your future freedom. Every $500 a month you lose to fees requires roughly $150,000 in invested assets to cover it indefinitely. Tyler didn't just lose $500,000. He lost the ability to retire 10 years earlier. The 11:30, the boring path to freedom. The reality is, boring is where your money grows. Your money doesn't need a side hustle. It needs a hammock. The most successful investors are the ones who set a strategy and then do Absolutely nothing. They utilize dollar-cost averaging into low-cost index funds and let time do the heavy lifting. Someone earning $65,000 and saving 30% reaches financial independence faster than someone earning $120,000 and saving 5%. It's about the gap, the difference between what you earn and what you spend. Stop performing wealth with expensive advisors and start owning the substance. The takeaway: the truth isn't a get-rich-quick scheme or a market crash doomsday clock. The best financial move you can make is to borrow the best instincts from every generation. Adopt the boomer instinct for ownership. Buy and hold real assets. Adopt the Gen X system of automation. Make your investments a default, not a decision. Adopt the millennial clarity on cost. Cut out the middleman and his 1% handshake. And adopt the Gen Z urgency. Start before you feel ready. Independent thinking is the only asset that hasn't been overvalued yet. Stop paying for a handshake that cost you a house and start running the math that sets you free.